whatever they are doing. No wonder the students are frightened. Now Bjorn took off as well. Man.
Ugh.
Hey, there we go. Hi, Bjorn. How are you doing?
Hey, are we live yet?
Oh,
Yeah, we
sure we are live. Sure we are live. Perhaps I should try some kind of introduction here. Should I? I guess I should.
Yeah,
Hey,
maybe.
this is Be Smart on Air, which is pretty much impossible. That's at least what I found out during these years. It's been a couple, I think, like, what, 3? And we are streaming live on Hangouts on Air. We might get a little bit specifically into Hangouts and Hangouts on Air too, because things are happening there, I believe, and I'm not sure if I keep up. But we seem to be live right now, so far so good.
Nice.
Nice. And yeah, it's an add-on. Since I've got with me my good friend from across the pond, Bjorn Behrendt. Hello, Bjorn.
Hey, Nilo. Hey. So how
You
many
are-
episodes are you in on the on Be Smart on Air?
I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. Oh man, this starts just great. Should be something like, it should say somewhere 20, 23, might be 23.
Nice.
But it's kind of I don't know how I should count, or if I should count, since the interview things are kind of a bit different. And I guess this is not actually a interview only.
Nah, I talk too much or ramble
Yeah,
on about other things.
yeah. Heck, I tried interviewing you once, and that was about it. It was okay. It was a long time ago. When was it? A couple of years ago? Something like
Oh
that?
man, it was a couple of years that we actually started. I mean, I was doing my podcast a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Last year, I tried to keep it going. It just kind of fizzled.
Yeah.
I did hit the episode 50 though.
That's pretty neat. Way to go for me. All in all, if I'm not even podcasting actually now. There are those that say that this stuff, what we're doing now, like Hangouts on Air, that this is podcasting. Like Jim Collison. Hello, Jim. I can't believe he'd be listening or watching, but he's kind of a one of my Hangouts on Air gurus, and he's been doing a heck of a lot of live stuff. And he says that, hey, this is podcasting. And there are those other guys. They said, no way. And now my fan got started. Do you hear my fan?
I do hear it in the background a little
You
bit.
do hear? I switch it off.
It's okay. I got a huge air conditioner running in mine, so.
I switch it off. It's warm enough here. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't actually know what is podcasting or what is not. I guess it depends on your point of view. But I sure want to get into this podcasting thing again a little bit more. I mean, talking about that with you, since I really do find it interesting in many ways, especially in the educational context.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Bjorn, by the way, it's been
Okay.
such a long time. We've been chatting, and who are you? What are you doing? A little bit of a background check here.
Oh, you want to know who I am?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Uh, I'm Bjorn Behrendt. I'm actually an IT coordinator for a high school in Vermont, USA. International. I got to go international here. We have about 450 students. We're one-to-one with Chromebooks and doing a lot of cool stuff there. I used to have a podcast, which is how I met Nilo, Ed Listen. And that, kind of, if you were listening to the intro, it didn't really fade. It kind of fell off a cliff
Oh man.
once I hit episode 50. But it was good. What happened is I wound up changing my interest, and I wound up putting my focus into writing add-ons. And that's something I think we're going to be talking about, some of the add-ons I've written since then.
Yeah,
So.
and talking about add-ons, you are talking about the Google ecosystem for education, right?
Yeah, when you open up a Google document or a spreadsheet or form, you can have add-ons, and those are just little extra programs that you can write that enhance the program, that enhance the tool.
Hmm.
So
Make it do some cool stuff that it otherwise wouldn't, huh?
that's the goal.
You can always mess things up, in one way or another.
Yep. So yeah, so there's and there's, you only have so much time for everything, and so that's where I've kind of changed my focus to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still reaching out to people. I'm still hanging out. Love it when you invite me on board, and I can actually make it. So
absolutely, timing is tough sometimes, for sure, for each and every one of us, I'd guess, and especially doing these specials across the pond, across the globe, whatever. It is always a little bit complicated, for sure, to say the least.
It is, but it works out. It happens.
And I must get back into stuff you were doing earlier, like actually the way I learned about what you were doing was due to your let's see, G-class folders special cool thing that was part of the Google ecosystem as well.
Yeah, that was pre-add-ons that I wrote that one.
It was pre-everything almost. Well, pre-Google Classroom, definitely. And how was it? I mean, I would never have started, actually, or even imagine getting started with Google Apps for Education if I hadn't had the possibility to create all those folders, get the structure somehow in place on Drive. And in that time, and that was like what? Was 4 years ago?
I've been at this job 3, so it must have been 4. Yeah. Wow.
4 years ago. Google Classroom wasn't there, and Google Apps for Education was, of course, running full power, but it was complicated if you didn't have the folder structure.
Yeah. Well, I started
that's what you fixed, huh?
Yeah. Well, I started that. It's funny, these add-ons or the scripts, you look for workflows and you try and improve the workflows, and that's kind of what we're doing, what we do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Google Apps had just added their folders, and
added folders?
Added folders. Or collection. I don't know if it was called collections at that time, but they just added folders. No, for a while there, they didn't have folders.
Okay.
Everything went into a drive.
All right.
So
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was after they added folders.
Okay.
And I was working with an elementary school teacher and trying to figure out the best way for them to communicate back and forth with the students. And it was funny because trying to teach a first grader, I think it was first grade, how to really do sharing and share with the teacher and make sure that process was simple, really wasn't that simple. And then grading, all of a sudden the teacher got shared with, and that's the other problems. You have 15 students in the class, they all share it at the same time. That worked out well, except for the 16th student who handed in their work late. And then the email structure of when that happened kind of got lost.
Yeah.
So that's when I came up with a folder structure plan. And it started off with I showed teachers how to create the folders and share them properly at the beginning of the year. And they liked the folders. But what happened is it became very cumbersome to build those folders at the beginning of the year. And that's when I decided to take my first hack at some scripting.
And so it was what is it called? Like the scripting language? It was Google's, like Google Apps Script or what?
Yeah, I think it is AppScript.
AppScript. Is it still there?
Yeah. Yeah, you go to Tools and then you go to AppScript.
So that's what you use when you write those add-ons, huh?
Yep.
Is it exactly the same thing, or have they been developing it somehow, or what? What is it, by the way?
It's
not that I care. I wouldn't understand anyway.
It's a simple language. I mean, it's pretty simple and it's pretty well documented for a lot of them. A lot of times you go spreadsheet app, you hit a dot, and it pops up with all the stuff you can do with a spreadsheet, and or document and things like that. So it's probably one of the easier programs that programming languages that I've seen. And what's really nice is there's no compiling. Once it's ready, it just starts working.
And you write it online, everything?
Right online, right with it. It's bound to the document that you're writing it from. And so, I mean, I created the G-class folders there.
Was it just like some kind of a hobby project for you, or did you get $1 or $2 for the job?
You get paid for these things?
Yeah, if you got paid for creating G-class folders.
Wow, that would be a concept. I never thought to do that.
You sure didn't get anything from me, I'm telling you. I think I promised to buy you a beer if we manage to meet in the physical world somehow, sometime, which really should be a reasonable goal, by the way.
I think it will be. I got to kind of stop paying daycare to afford the plane ticket. But as soon as that's done, I think we can make plans. No, so it came out of where I saw a need, and I've always been a big person about improving workflow. And so I took the time thought it would be a great first project, and it was. Then I partnered up with Andrew Stillman and saw what coding really could be. Although he says don't look at his code, it's very messy.
Wow.
And it worked out well. I mean, we brought a simple program right to the forefront and introduced it to many people. And then we kind of split the project because some things were getting deprecated. Going away. Some of the tools that we were using for the menus and stuff was kind of going away, so we wrote it back. He took some of the folder structure and brought it into his add-on, the Doctopus.
Yeah, right.
He built that in there, and I rewrote.
Doctopus still alive and kicking very much, huh?
Oh yeah. Hey Kim.
Hey Kim, good to see you.
Doctopus is still alive.
Yeah.
And G-class folders I wrote a version 3 of. Problem is, the week before I hit submit on version 3, Google announced Google Classroom.
I'm sorry for laughing, for heaven. It's not funny, actually. It's not funny, even though I'm laughing. Yeah. All right. What was your reaction?
You know, I think Andrew and I both looked at each other and says, "Okay, I guess we were beta testers for a product we didn't know was going to come about." But I like Google Classroom. I think it's a really well-developed program, and I'm happy it came out.
Did those guys buy you a beer, perhaps, or something?
No, they didn't even offer.
Not one beer.
No.
Nah, you're kidding me. That would have been reasonable, for heaven's sake. I could buy you a beer.
Definitely.
And I'm just making the teacher's wages, by the way, which are rock bottom in Sweden. This is secret stuff, but really. So, oh well, that they should have done that, really, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, something like that.
Okay, one picture for you guys to play. That would have been reasonable, really.
Yeah. So that was I still published it, and then kind of had to bring it back to a light version, but it's there. But that got me hooked, and then I needed a new project. So it's funny. My other popular project is Choice Eliminator.
Yep.
And that started.
What was that called? What called? Choice Eliminator. Right. Yeah. I recognize that. I never quite understood what it's all about, but you can tell me. Now you got the chance.
Well, actually, I started writing that one for my own podcast. Because anytime I'm scheduling a podcast, I knew I was doing it every Thursday at such and such time. You know, at 3 o'clock my own time.
And you always had that incredibly good audio that was driving me crazy.
Yeah, well, that was expensive. Really expensive.
You're a kind of a gear nut, huh?
Yeah, I can be. Like I said, I get into something and I really get into it and try and do it as best as I can. So.
I'm just
But
a
all that,
friend of I'm just a friend of a couple of gear nuts, so I don't know. Perhaps I'm partly into that as well.
yeah. Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, I got into it, but I needed to do something for scheduling. So I had
Yeah.
all these times, and then I needed to have people pick a time. So what I did is I just kind of started creating a uh, Google form, and I wrote a program that as someone chose a time, it eliminated it. So it went away.
Not the one submitting the form, I hope. No rough stuff there.
No, it was
Just the choice, huh?
just the option. So if you have a multiple choice question and
That was a lousy joke. Okay, I take that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was doing two things at once.
Yeah, I know that. You should never try that, Bjorn.
Very
it's
funny.
for ladies only, I think.
Awesome.
Trying to do two things
Yeah.
at once.
Well, I forgot a phone call that I needed to tell Connor, my cohort back there, who it was on the phone. So I was chatting with him while I'm sitting there talking to you. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work too well.
Yeah, so back. So I needed a way to sign up, have people automatically sign up. And the easiest way was a Google form, and I just put all the dates in, and as they choose a date, it kind of would go away. And then the next person, and it helped when I was trying to get interviewees, because I would send out, 3 invites at the same exact time to 3 different people, and say pick a time. And a lot of times they would pick the same time, or it became really crazy. So that's why
it can be a pain. And there are, of course, there are a bunch of services that you can use. Most of them, I guess, are
paid.
not completely free, and well, some are, of course, but I guess the I don't know, you don't get all the bells and whistles if you're not paying, I think, and complicated anyway.
Yeah, so I wanted a little bit more information, and didn't want to pay, so I wrote my own solution. And that's where Choice Eliminator came about. And it works out great, and a lot of teachers adopted it for parent-teacher sign-outs and signing up for different things. And it's been on Free Tech for Teachers and a few other places. I've since one of the problems with it though is the way it was written. I tried
Otherwise,
to make
it's great. There's just one problem.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, everything can always be improved. So it was constantly there was a delay, and there still is a little bit of a delay after you hit submit, and that's just a restriction of AppScript where they don't allow you to process anything until after you hit submit. So to try and remove so those teachers who wanted something that was going to be instantly, send it out to all your students and everybody at the same time, try and pick your thing, and if it stops, that didn't work because it didn't finish removing the option before the next person hit submit. So there's a little bit of a processing time in there.
Talking about AppScript and the way it works and scaling things. When you were working with G-class folders, I mean, didn't that thing kind of get huge in a way that you didn't expect, huh?
Well, Andrew, when he wrote version 2, he built in a way that it could be launched for an entire school. I built it for an individual teacher. Yeah. 20, you have 20 students in there. You hit create, it created it. You open up the next sheet, you write all your students, you hit create. And for that size, it works out well. Yeah,
I remember for my trials when I got started with the Google Apps. I mean, it worked just fine. We were not that many when we got started either, and I think basically it could still work fine. But of course, if there are like hundreds and hundreds of students and whatnot, and teachers like Kim, you were doing that as well, huh?
That failed. 200 students, 6 teachers. Boom.
Yeah.
But
well,
for me, it was just great. I got all those folders created just the way I wanted to. So, man, really neat.
But it was.
And of course, by the way, what you said about Classroom all of a sudden coming along. So if someone doesn't know about Google Classroom, so what is it, Bjorn? You know what it is.
Google Classroom, it actually looks like a blog. It really looks like a classroom blog for the teacher. And they post an assignment or an announcement. It goes to the top of the list. All the students can see it. It's adds some advanced features in the fact that it can keep track of whether the student is late with turning in assignments. You can attach Google Docs to those assignments and either use them in the same way that Doctopus does and creates a copy. And then there's a hand-in process for the student. So once they get the document, they can submit back to the teacher.
But the bottom line is, it's pretty much about the workflow again. Like what you guys, what are you laughing at?
I'm like watching Kim. He came up, and it literally his camera's just kind of doing this. He looked like he was on an elevator.
His camera is always doing that.
It's actually true.
Especially if he's biking around, you know, participating in a hangout on air. Then man, you should see what his camera is doing.
It's actually true. I have a standing table. So I actually elevated the table. So that's exactly what happened.
Extremely cool.
But it was like so perfect.
Oh gosh, man! It's just about. It's really about the time that we got you, Bjorn, in a hangout again. It's been a long time we had this much fun. Or perhaps it's just because it's kind of getting late on our part, on our side of the pond.
Man, it's still just 10 o'clock. I mean, I just got from reading my emails for the morning.
Shoot. Yeah. Okay. Google Classroom. So seriously, back to business. The bottom line there is just the way it was in G-class folders to get the workflow right. Isn't that so?
Well, I mean, it doesn't work the same, but it solves the same problem of...
And it creates the folders in a similar manner, doesn't it?
It doesn't, because in Google Classroom you don't use the folders.
Yeah, you do. You don't use
you
them, but that's what makes the magic happen.
I'm a tech guy. I'm not the teacher, so I mean...
Yeah, right.
No, I don't use folders either if I don't have to. I mean, actually, you don't need to go to Drive at all, or very rarely. Being a teacher, you need to go there and create your stuff, definitely. But I mean, the thing that makes everything work in the background, that's of course Drive, and I mean, you get all those folders created automatically by Classroom, just the way, isn't it? Pretty much the same way that G-class folders created the folders on Drive.
But it doesn't actually share them.
No.
So it really becomes containers. So it's not like
okay.
Yeah, a student can't take a document, put it in in the folder that the Google Classroom created for them, and the teacher be able to see it.
Nah, that's not the deal. Yeah, it's a different approach there.
Yeah, where G-class folders, that was the idea, is that you put it into the folder, that's how you submit it.
Absolutely.
Google Classroom, you actually have to go through Google Classroom.google.com, click submit, it goes to the teacher. So that's it's just different, but it solves a workflow, and that's like what you said. You couldn't start it without having a workflow for your teachers to go through, and I think that was shown that it was needed. I mean, both Andrew and I kind of did that. Google actually created a product, which is nice that they did, based on the need for workflow in the classroom. And I loved seeing how well it's getting developed, and I love to see it. And I can't wait to see it in another year. I think that is one product that is going to grow.
I would think so. Things have been happening pretty fast, really, the way it's been developed. Amazingly fast, actually.
Yeah. There are a few things we've been spoiled with Doctopus and G-class folders, that you have teacher owns the documents.
That's a huge difference.
Teacher decides who should work with what document, but you can't make small groups. And the teacher decides this is a deadline.
Yeah, of course. That is also a different approach. That if you want the students to really own their documents all the way, and there are of course consequences of that, or if you as a teacher want to be the owner of the documents, and there are other kinds of consequences of that, of course. So yeah, two different ways of playing it. But you can use Doctopus together with Classroom, huh?
Yep.
You can.
So.
Yeah, the one thing I really didn't like about Google Classroom is it went back to almost the workflow of handing in a piece of paper and handing it back. So
yeah,
and
but I guess they just wanted to have it the same way things work in the physical world.
It was, but it was funny. It was an actual step back for what I was teaching my teachers, because I was teaching live collaboration and saying, you know, you're working with the student from the beginning of the project while they're working on the project. And I had teachers sitting in a center of a room. All the students around them were working, and he was reading their work as they were writing it and commenting live. So it was really a live thought process. Whereas the Google Classroom approach, bye Connor.
But I mean, we can be commenting live as well today using Google Classroom.
Can you? I mean, I haven't seen it because I know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think that's a cheat,
we have full access these days. It wasn't like that from the beginning. If my memory doesn't fail me completely here.
Yeah.
So we can comment while they are working from the very beginning these days. Absolutely.
But that was something that had to get added back in. So when it first got launched,
that's right.
There was a whole workflow that Google Apps was really good at doing with this live collaboration that they just kind of didn't grab, or whatever it is, you know.
No, you share the documents with the students, and the document was gone. There was no document.
And there was no collaboration.
And it would never get back. It would never come back to you. You give it to them, and you never get it back.
But I think it's come a long way. The feature that I keep requesting every few months, I'll go into Google Classroom and hit the feedback and say request, is I want a public button. I just a little checkbox at the bottom of each post that says public, and then teachers can just choose. You know,
public, like how public? Completely public.
Completely public. So that way teachers can have like a website for their parents and stuff like that.
Oh.
It's a blog post. So, instead of going to a teacher page, it goes to a Google Classroom page, and any post that they have posted to show publicly will show up on the page. I mean, right now there's a workaround with using Calendar and doing that. And I have one teacher doing that, but it's still that leaves out the announcements.
Do you mean showing the assignment dates to say, for example, parents?
Yeah, but I would like announcements too. I mean, if there's an announcement for the classroom, put it up in the classroom. You know, so it doesn't, so it's not reliant on a due date per se. But that's the one feature I would like to see.
And also, this calendar, which was good that it was included, is not a two-way street.
No, I guess not.
Adding stuff in Google Calendar into the Google Classroom calendar doesn't hit back into Google Classroom when you check the calendar in there.
Yeah.
But I guess that would make things a little bit more complicated again, or?
Yeah, but again, if you have assignments, that's one thing. But this class, we also have this important thing that I have to put in the calendar that people have to remember. Can't do that in the Google Calendar, which is this obvious place to put in calendar appointments, not inside Classroom.
Yeah.
Because you can't, in Google Classroom, you can't put things in the calendar unless there are assignments with due dates.
Yeah.
It's not a regular calendar in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing, by the way, that about the Google Classroom calendar that I really would like to see as well, and that is having a kind of a collated view of all the due dates for all the Google Classroom courses, if you like, for anyone to view.
Yeah.
And there are, like, you can hack it.
Yeah, that's a word.
Brute force it, which I've been doing. That's crazy, actually. But I mean, I tried it and it works, and it's pretty neat. If you have some kind of a smart naming convention for the courses and the assignments, it's pretty easy to get a good bird eye view of what's going on. And I bet many parents would love that. Many students as well, and perhaps even teachers.
Yeah. Well, I think at least a parent portal of some sort has been feature requested.
Yeah, frequently. It must be
Frequently.
coming. I think it's a matter of time. Some kind of whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I have not heard about what it would look like or what.
And nothing either, but.
But it's the same in a lot of other portals. Like if you call Google Classroom one, not all of them has an easy way for parents to get into it. It's not a problem for teachers because they work there. It's not a problem for students because they are there. But how do you get accounts or access to people not at the school? You don't have their information. So quite a few portals that does not let in parents.
Yeah, but of course, then you can discuss and have different opinions on whether you want the parents to have full access to all the stuff. I mean, I'd say they don't need to have full access to all the stuff and see all the assignments and what's going on. But I definitely would love them to see all the due dates, and then together with their child, with their children, check what's going on. To do it together, like make it a routine every week, a couple of times preferably. Go through the assignments. That's what I'd love that.
Usually that's when I talk to those who say, we need our parents' access. And say, no, you don't. The child has access. The parent can sit down with their child.
Do you guys talk at home? You know? Could you try doing that?
Well, it's fun. The other place that we keep running into, and it's for a similar situation, is student aides. So we have students who go. We're using Google Classroom in our school. It just became very popular.
Yeah. Everyone uses it.
Yeah. Almost everyone uses it. We don't force the issue, but it became a thing.
Okay.
Like
are you the super admin for Google Apps?
I am one of them.
Okay.
So it's at the district level. I have it for the high school, and it's a lot of the teachers are using it. We actually had Hapara last year, which kind of liked, but not enough to pay for it. Again,
was that on top of Google Classroom?
No, we did not do the first year of Google Classroom because Google Classroom last year came out the week that school was going to start.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to, and we had already been using Hapara in the school system successfully. So we decided to go with that, and we went with it for 1 year. It was okay. It was good. I mean, it was a workflow. Teachers used it. Mostly they used the Interact where they were watching the students. But we switched gears and went to Classroom this year, and it was night and day. There was a lot more adoption of Google Classroom over Hapara.
It is easy to use. It's really easy to use, huh?
Yep, it is really easy to use. There's another beta product, or I don't know if it's still in beta or just came out of beta, Omnito.
Yeah,
Never
I've
heard
seen
about
him
that.
talking about it. I haven't seen the actual product, but I've seen him.
Say it again.
Omnito.
Omnito. Never heard.
OMNITO. .net. And it's a great product. It's not free. But what I liked about it is it's one of those where you can see you go to your classroom and you can see all the students and what they have for tabs open. And I liked it because it was one of the few products that integrated directly with Google Classroom.
Okay.
So a teacher who has a Google Classroom, they open up Omnito, all of a sudden they see their classes. It's already built and things like that.
Okay.
So that's why I went with that tool.
But it's a subscription service. You got to pay for it, huh?
It is a subscription service, and there's
say that 3 times fast.
That.
Can't do it. I give up.
No, I'm not going to even try. I stopped drinking Mountain Dew, and now I just strict water, so I can't. But I mean, there's two schools of thoughts with these. I mean, some of the admins didn't want me to go with this because they want teachers to physically monitor students. You know, you get up, you walk around the room.
Are you talking about Hapara now, or anything?
I'm talking about the either Hapara Interact, Omnito, all these tools that
you get this bird eye view and you see everything. You are God.
Yeah.
You see everything with one glance, kind of. Huh?
Yeah, it's a one glance. You see everything. But there's two schools of thought with using this. One, well, then the teacher doesn't ever leave their desk and they don't interact with a student.
Oh, God.
Versus them walking around and seeing it.
I wonder if I even have a desk, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm the tech guy, so I can't really say. I mean, you guys both are teachers. Kim, you're a teacher too, right?
Right.
What's your thoughts on that? That's an ongoing debate. What is your thoughts as a classroom teacher?
Again, if you have to pay for it, I mean, if it was included in the tool I was using, I could use it if I wanted to, but paying for an extra tool just to do that, it's easier just to get out of your chair and walk around the classroom. And
yeah, I mean,
interact.
Actually, it really sounds ridiculous to me that you know, someone would think that teachers just sit there and check the computer and do anything else. It sounds ridiculous. Heavens, I very rarely have time to sit there at the desk, you know. I guess most of us teachers are walking around all the time, you know, and it's kind of a busy job, keeps you fit. Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah, compared to the writing session that you mentioned earlier, where when the teacher can sit down and actually read and collaborate with the texts, where they are writing live and you're just peeking in their texts.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you do. You take a look every now and then, whatever. It just, at least for me, it just doesn't work. You know, like trying to, say I have 20 students or whatever, and trying to be there with all of them all the time. How on earth could that work? No way. I mean, whatever monitoring systems you're using, it's impossible, at least for me. For sure.
Yeah, I used share documents when I did exams. So students doing economics, they had exams and they were working in sheets, and the sheets were of course shared with me, so I can see whenever they were typing things into the different cells, and I can sit there and go, okay, sorry man, you can't put that there. That's going to be wrong results. You're doing something completely off. Redo it, delete it. And they would do it. This was an exam, and I didn't move. I could sit there by my desk, looking into their tests as they were writing the exam, and I could give feedback. And of course, when they were finished, their results were better if I hadn't been interactive during the exam.
Just possibly they learned a bit more than.
Yeah, because I've always said this: an exam should also be a learning situation. If possible.
If possible, yeah. Makes sense. Wow, that is kind of deep.
That was. And I'm not multitasking again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doing two things simultaneously is not good for your brain. That's what I read somewhere recently, and it made me very happy since I've never been able to do that very well. Well, yeah, walking and listening to podcasts. By the way, nice segue to podcasts here. That I can do, but things more complicated than that. Well, yeah, it gets too complicated, at least for my brain.
Sorry, I missed the first few minutes, but talking about add-ons, the sort of there's so many now. That was the point.
What's that?
Exploded. I mean, in the beginning there were 1, 2 maybe, and you had the app scripts versions, And now when they opened the marketplace and made add-ons available, that's when it really exploded, and you have hundreds actually.
Yeah, there are tons of them.
Some of them
I haven't even tried finding specific add-ons there to solve a specific problem, actually. But is that hard? I don't know.
No, I've done it a few times.
No, it's
You can find really complex problems you have, and someone will have made an add-on for it.
Yeah.
or you can make your own.
Yes.
Problems.
Problems. And I'm very impressed with those who have chosen to do that, like Alice Keeler, for example.
Yeah, jeez. I mean, she's just like, I don't understand how she pulls it off. Just tons of stuff just coming out, all the time. Add-ons, tips, walkthroughs, everything. Man, and she's not doing only that full time. I think she's doing quite a lot of other things as well. So wow.
Is this Alice?
Amazing. Huh?
Alice?
Yeah,
Alice Keeler,
yeah.
Thinking about a problem, can I do this? And it is, yeah, I can do this. And then I'll just try this one too. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And he has tons of ideas, and it turned out very well. And
Extremely
I've tried
cool stuff.
quite a few of her scripts to do things.
Extremely cool stuff for sure. Bjorn, by the way, how is your timing? You said you got to run like when?
I got another 15 minutes,
Okay,
so
good.
I get more time.
Good.
So, and we're talking about add-ons, so I'm going to use that as a transition to talk about the ones I've written too.
Yeah, and the one hasn't this Simply Send thing become kind of pretty popular, huh?
I hope so. I would like to get. That's my other big one that I really like. Although it's kind of a takeoff from Autocrat, so it's there's some competition in it.
Okay, what does Simply Send to do? It sends stuff apparently.
Simply Send basically. It was funny because I was using Autocrat, which is a great program. You submit a form, it merges it with the document. And looks really nice.
Is it one of Andrew's as well?
Well, no, Andrew is no longer with New Vision, so
yeah, right. That's right.
It's originally written by him, yes. But it was funny because I wanted a form, and all I wanted to do was send the results of the form via email. That's all it was. And the tools out there required me to build this template from scratch to do that. And so I'm like, I don't want that. I just want something, 2 clicks and send.
Yeah.
And I want to say who to send it to. So I started my own project. And that's where Simply Send started off. And it was nice. And then all of a sudden I needed to merge with documents. So I built the document merge portion of it. And then I needed it to do something else. It was a project that started off small and then
it just got out of hand.
But one of the things I really tried to keep with my with Simply Send, Choice Eliminator, Easy Query, all the ones I've written, I try and keep it as simple a workflow as possible.
Yeah.
So like Simply Send, you literally can turn it on, and just by turning it on, it'll automatically start notifying you, whoever turned it on, the person who who turned it on, it'll start notifying him whenever a form is submitted.
Right.
You hit another checkbox, it can include the results in that email. Fill in a text box, you can have it go to another email. So I made it as scalable as possible. I wanted it to be as simple. You can hit a click, it can start resending you results, or you can scale it all the way up to having it merge documents with you. And I think, I love Andrew's scripts and a lot of the mail merge out there, but they're not scalable. They start off with doing the really complex stuff. Yeah. And you have to go through it all. And so a lot of times that's what I've trying to pull it back. Okay. I've even seen people scale back Doctopus because that's gotten to be really, you can do everything. It has every option in there, and sometimes you just need it to send a document to all the students.
Yeah, right.
Alice Kilo is one of them.
Yeah,
They're already included.
But by the way, talking about Simply Send, there was this funny thing. I mentioned that earlier to you, Bjorn, perhaps to you as well, Kim, that I was trying to find the script, the add-on, using my Google Apps account, and I couldn't, even though I found it right away when I was logged into my private account. What the heck?
To find Simply Send?
Yeah.
But you have to be in a form.
What?
You have to be in a form and.
Yeah, well, I was in a forum, and I did that using my private account. There it was, no problem. I tried to do the same using my Google Apps account. Nowhere to be found.
I just did it while we were talking. I did it before, and using the search form, I just write simply.
Okay, I guess I just
I don't know.
SDK.
Someone's blocking.
What's the expression? That's for me, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually the one problem I'm still trying to solve is time zones.
Yeah.
Because it reads the time zones of the script where the script is hosted. So I'm the host of the script, so it is currently sending out time zones with Eastern Standard Time in the US.
Okay.
So that's one of the features that I'm trying to fix. But there's always those things. And
there's always something.
All of these add-ons are written not by companies. There's really not, well, maybe Avery, but I don't think it's, even their product is not the craziest one. There's really no money to be involved in this. This is not a, there's no sale built into it.
It's like a grassroots thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a lot of people like myself and Alice and Kim, you could do it, Neil, you could do it.
Me?
Students.
Students,
put it in
sure,
there. Yeah. And you can have fun with it too. So
sure.
Just kind of a plug, my new choice eliminator, once it comes out, I'm going to hit the publish button on March 2nd. When I do it, it will break all current forms. I rewrote the program from the ground up.
Great.
So it's not going to.
You can't upgrade.
I didn't write it. Could not write an upgrade path. I just you're gonna have to go back in and hit the check boxes.
Okay.
But I hid a little something in there, so it has an egg in it. So that would be a fun one to see how many people find that. I wasn't gonna mention it, but this is Be Smart on Air. I had to. I had to put out the little feeler somewhere, and
someone's got to do the smart part, I'm afraid that someone is not me. Being quite
well,
honest.
it's anybody who's listening to this can now know that there's a little tiny egg in that one that someone can find.
Be smart.
Maybe they'll find it on their own. Maybe they'll be listening to Be Smart on Air. We'll see.
Talking about being smart, I mentioned when we got started, Bjorn, that I was like listening in to Alistar's colleague of ours, Alistar's video meeting through Adobe Connect, and it's so high tech, and those guys are so disciplined. It's like, man, I was almost frightened.
No, craziness.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna plug a few other my add-ons.
Go.
Like I said,
That's why you're here.
Well, I've taken, like I said, I stopped podcasting, which freed up.
Aren't you ever going back? I want to have you back in podcasting.
No, I'm going to be a regular person for Be Smart on Air.
Okay, good.
That's been, you are my little podcasting niche feed.
That's fair enough. I do accept this.
So I try and get on when I can.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've been writing add-ons. So my website for my scripts are scripts.edlisten.com. And little tip, pay your domain name renewals.
You mean you need to be smart?
But what? No. Well, Google missed theirs one time. I think they want to pay.
They did. There was this guy who bought Google.com, huh?
Yeah, and
that was kind of cool. He had it like 5 seconds or something, I think.
Yeah.
He got money for it.
Ed-listen was available for 4 days.
Oh, right.
Oh,
No
before
one
I found
grabbed
out.
it?
No, no one grabbed it. I was able to renew this morning.
Very good.
So scripts.edlisten.com,
Mm-hmm.
and I've written quite a few. There's a few that are published and a couple that aren't quite published out there, but a couple popular ones. Easy Query.
yeah.
I love that add-on. That's one of those tools where it's probably if I named it differently, teachers would jump on it. Because there's another one out there called Roll Call, and Roll Call is great, and I like it, except it was a bit limiting in the fact that it had a single purpose. And there's a function in Google Spreadsheets called Query. It's a really powerful function. It's a way for filtering out data and things like that, but it's not the easiest in the world to just get started with.
No.
And so I wrote something called Easy Query, and all it does is you go into a spreadsheet, you say, okay, I want, column A, C, D, E, and I want to apply these filters to it, and you say create, and it'll create a new sheet with those filters in there.
Okay.
And recently I added one where it can take all unique values. So if you have a list of all the students, and you want to break it out into each sheet having, I don't know, today's assignment or something like that, you could say all students create, and it'll create the 20 students that you have with the filter in there. So that's a really cool one for spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I have.
I had to use to grab data from several files, and then you could use import range, and I totally failed getting these together. So then I instead imported the data into separate sheets within one file, and then I used array formula to add them all together again. And the same error occurred. I got all the rows. So if I have 1,000 rows with 400 rows with data, I get 1,000 rows. And then I got the next 1,000 rows, and then the next. And then we found that you could use query to kick out the empty rows.
Yep.
But that took a while because we were looking at the format. How do you write the format where the query says this, and then you said no info, and they said use null. Okay, we had null for a couple of times. It said, no, it refused. 1,000 rows, 1,000 rows. And then we instead said, okay, not nothing. Okay, and it worked. So what is it? It's called what's it called? Exclamation mark equals and
that's not equal.
Yeah, that's what you use instead of equals null, because that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found in the documentation.
No, it wasn't. And so I don't even use the full power of it. And there's a lot of things you can have it flip. You can change the order. And, so I just kind of kept it simple and that was for one of the secretaries who had a lot of data, and she just needed to keep filtering out just a little portion of it. Let's see, what's another one that I liked? Shopping cart. Yeah, we had something for our school store. So I created a little shopping cart app where you can add inventory items, and you can do a whole checkout, and you hit submit, and it'll create a log and do the addition for you. So that was another cool one. One that I have on beta that I know a lot of people will want, but I'm really struggling with getting it past the review process just because it's a complicated program. Transfer ownership.
Yeah.
So what this one will do, and I definitely a big shout out to Spencer Eaton, because he wrote a library which we can use that helps with the transfer process. And what transfer ownership
or what?
Transfer
ownership or what?
Folders with files in them.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea behind the transfer ownership is you have a shared folder. Like you said, your school shared folder where all the teachers put data in. Right now, if you have a shared folder, every teacher who wrote the document that adds to it owns the file. So if somebody else moves it, deletes it, the teacher accidentally deletes it for everybody, where their documents that are added to this folder really should be owned by the school.
Okay.
What transfer ownership does is it kind of monitors that folder, and anything new that gets put in there, it automatically transfers it to a school-owned account.
That's the next level.
Nice.
It doesn't matter who the owner is. You can be ran one time, like a teacher who's leaving, and they just want to get the one group of files out to another person, and you don't want to take the entire drive. You just want to take a folder, or it can monitor a folder if you wanted it to. The script works. The Google has kind of changed how you do have to follow some instructions to go in and create something called a oh, good. I'm like blanking. It's the end of the day.
The service account,
you had to go,
the APIs?
Yeah, the service account. You had to create a service account, and I put the instructions in there, and then it's publish, and then Google changed how they had to do it.
Yeah.
Man, so, how can they do a thing like that?
Yeah, so my instructions were up to date as of the morning, became obsolete at the afternoon, and I just got to recreate my screenshots and figure out how to get it going again. I think they added a few extra steps.
Yeah,
yeah, and then I gotta, and then once that process is done, I'm still trying to get it through the review process, which they're kind of strict about. Why does it do it this way? Well, that's kind of how I had to make it work.
You know,
I'll tell you.
There's a competition in this area, the ad-hoc. They've had a product like this for quite a while, but of course it's not free. Where they have, like you had, they can monitor a folder and do this. But again, it's not a free tool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do a lot of work at school. I write these things to help workflows in my own school. So there's a lot that I try and.
So you do have, or can you get some time during the day to like write add-ons or stuff like that?
Yeah, it's, a technician's day kind of consists of putting out fires and long-term projects. Luckily, we're a Chromebook school, one-to-one, so our putting out fires is actually, let's just change the screen on the monitor that's broken. And yeah, I did do that once. I actually just fill out the form. Connor changes the screen. Oh yeah, we did put out a fire once. We had one of our batteries catch on fire.
Oh wow, that's pretty heavy-duty stuff.
But speaking of stuff that I actually have to go do, I have to go to a class and teach them to use screencasting. So.
Yep.
Another add-on.
Good enough. It's been tons of fun chatting with you again, Bjorn, and let's make it to a habit, more often than like once a year or so.
Definitely,
sure.
Like I said, I don't run my own podcast anymore, but I still have the bug. So
yeah, and I don't run any. Well, again, depends what is a podcast and what is not.
Honestly, when I could try and tell my teachers what to do, they're going to go straight to YouTube and subscribe to YouTube before they'll go to iTunes or Google's Play to subscribe. So
yeah.
In terms of what the teachers see and listen to, I think the YouTube channel format is probably even better for education than the quote-unquote traditional podcast.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting, really. The way they are two completely different beasts. Talking about YouTube and, if you like, traditional podcasts. Yeah. And there's so lots of stuff on YouTube that it's like zapping between thousands and thousands of clips or whatnot. And I don't know. It might be that if people really find say audio podcast, which of course can be also a video. So I mean, listening is so much more. What is it? Much less.
It is. I mean, I used to listen to it in the car.
You can do lots of stuff and listen to a podcast and really get something out of it. But I mean, video, then you really got to put lots of completely different way effort and time into that. So
Yeah, but
two different beasts altogether, that's for sure.
But then again, there's not too many PewDiePies in podcasting.
Nope.
There's a lot of PewDiePies in YouTube.
Well, yeah, or something of the kind.
Yeah.
okay. Well, I got to get going.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess we too.
Yeah.
Got to get going. Homeward bound.
Yes. And I'm off on my motorcycle.
Oh,
this year's first trip.
Okay.
Nice.
Very good. Heavens.
No snow and no ice on the road, so motorcycle out.
we haven't even had snow all winter.
Be careful out there.
We'd had some crazy times over here for Bjorn, off and on. Snow, no snow, snow, ice, no rain, sun, warm.
Well, we
Backdrop.
actually had people out on their motorcycle on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
In
Well,
Vermont,
that's kinda
which
crazy.
is
Yeah, at least
crazy
in
for Vermont.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
okay.
It's been lots of fun, guys. We'll
Yes,
do it again soon. So take good care and see you folks on there.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.